The Empire of Frosthaven, flushed with their recent victory in and close alliance with Vatican City, decides to attempt to establish diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of Sweden. A delegation, led by their most skilled diplomat, is sent to the Swedish court. They arrive at the capital city of Stockholm and are greeted by the King of Sweden. The diplomat presents a formal letter from the Emperor of Frosthaven, offering an alliance and promising mutual protection against the aggressive expansionist policies of the Holy Roman Empire. The King of Sweden, weighing his options carefully, agrees to consider the proposal. Over in the Holy Roman Empire, Pope Clement III, growing impatient with the lack of progress in the war against the Kingdom of Sweden, decides to take matters into his own hands. He secretly assembles a small force of his most trusted knights and archers and sets out to conquer the Duchy of Finland himself. His plan is to use this strategic foothold to launch a more successful invasion of Sweden. Meanwhile, the diplomatic relations between the Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Sweden continue to progress. After much discussion and negotiation, the two nations agree to sign a treaty of mutual defense and alliance. This treaty not only solidifies their relationship, but also presents a formidable challenge to the Holy Roman Empire's expansionist ambitions. The Empire of Sanctity, their armies destroyed, decide to attempt to negotiate a union with Italy. Their emperor, Marcus, sends an envoy to Rome to discuss the possible union between the Empire of Sanctity and Italy. The envoy, Marcus Aurelius, arrives in the Eternal City and is escorted to the Vatican, where he meets with Pope Innocent. The two leaders engage in long discussions about the benefits of such an alliance. Marcus Aurelius argues that the Empire of Sanctity could provide military protection for the Vatican, while Italy could offer economic and cultural advantages. In turn, the Pope suggests that such an alliance could strengthen the Christian faith throughout Europe and help to spread the message of peace and prosperity. After several weeks of negotiations, a treaty is finally signed, marking the official union of the Empire of Sanctity and the Vatican. Marcus Aurelius is welcomed as a brother emperor, and his rule is acknowledged over the territories that once belonged to the Empire of Frosthaven. The people of Vatican City celebrate this historic event with great fanfare, lighting bonfires and holding feasts in honor of their new emperor.
In response to the loss of Vatican City, through its union with the Empire of Sanctity, the Empire of Frosthaven decides to attempt to strengthen diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of Sweden. A diplomatic envoy is sent to the Swedish court, bearing gifts and promises of mutual protection against the Holy Roman Empire's aggressive expansionist policies. The King of Sweden, recognizing the threat posed by the Pope's ambitions, agrees to enter into negotiations with the Empire of Frosthaven. As these delicate talks proceed, word reaches the Pope of the Empire of Frosthaven's attempts to create firearms. Incensed by this perceived threat to his power, Pope Clement III issues a papal bull excommunicating the entire Empire of Frosthaven, declaring all its citizens to be outside the protection of the Holy Roman Church, and calling for a holy crusade against them. The excommunication has a profound effect on the Empire of Frosthaven. Many of its citizens, previously loyal to the Pope, begin to question their allegiance. The Emperor, recognizing the severity of the situation, musters his forces and prepares for war. Meanwhile, news of the Pope's actions reach the Kingdom of Sweden. The king, already alarmed by the aggressive expansionist policies of the Holy Roman Empire, is now even more determined to resist their encroachment. He declares his support for the Empire of Frosthaven and begins preparations for a joint defense. In the Holy Roman Empire, Marcus, Emperor of Sanctity, reacts to the news of the excommunication with a mixture of anger and determination. He sees it as a challenge to his authority and vows to crush the Empire of Frosthaven once and for all. He assembles his armies and marches towards their borders, intent on reclaiming the lands they have stolen and restoring the Holy Roman Church to its former glory. The Empire of Sanctity, After hearing of the strengthened alliance between the Empire of Frosthaven and the Kingdom of Sweden, but more so about the excommunication of Frosthaven by Pope Clement III of the Holy Roman Empire, decides to attempt to become the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire diplomatically and through manipulation, due to their army still being destroyed. Their Emperor, Marcus Aurelius, sends an envoy to Rome to discuss the possibility of Marcus becoming the new Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, with the blessing of Pope Clement III. The envoy arrives in Rome and is escorted to the Vatican, where he meets with Pope Clement III. The two leaders engage in long discussions about the benefits of such an alliance. Marcus Aurelius argues that the Empire of Sanctity could provide military protection for the Holy Roman Empire, while also bringing a renewed focus on Christianity and its teachings. He promises to rebuild the Holy Roman Empire into a glorious empire, greater than it has ever been. Pope Clement III listens carefully to Marcus Aurelius' proposals and, after much consideration, agrees to support his candidacy for the throne. However, he insists that Marcus must first prove his loyalty to the Catholic Church and its teachings. Marcus Aurelius agrees to these terms, vowing to uphold the Church's authority and work closely with the Pope to ensure the well-being of the Holy Roman Empire and its people. With the Pope's blessing, Marcus Aurelius begins a campaign to win the support of the nobles and citizens of the Holy Roman Empire. He travels throughout the empire, speaking of his vision for a restored and prosperous empire, guided by the teachings of Christ. His charisma and intelligence win him many followers, but he also faces opposition from those who fear the loss of power and influence under a new emperor. The race for the throne intensifies. As word spreads of Marcus Aurelius' candidacy, other nobles begin to vie for the position, each promising their own version of restoration and renewal. The people of the empire grow restless, yearning for stability and leadership. In the midst of this turmoil, the Pope calls for a grand conclave to be held in Vatican City, where the most influential nobles and church officials will gather to decide the fate of the empire. Marcus Aurelius arrives at the Vatican, his retinue of advisors and soldiers surrounding him. He is greeted warmly by Pope Clement III, who commends him on his efforts so far. The conclave begins, with each noble making their case for why they should be the next emperor. Marcus Aurelius delivers a passionate speech, outlining his vision for a united and prosperous Holy Roman Empire, guided by the teachings of Christ. He promises to work closely with the Pope and uphold the authority of the Catholic Church, while also restoring the empire to its former glory. As the debate continues, Marcus Aurelius' rivals begin to grow desperate. Some attempt to smear his reputation, spreading rumors of heresy and ambition. Others resort to threats and intimidation, hoping to sway the vote in their favor. But Marcus Aurelius remains steadfast, maintaining his composure and dignity in the face of these attacks. Pope Clement III listens carefully to each speech, weighing the merits of each candidate. He is impressed by Marcus Aurelius' devotion to both the Church and the Empire, as well as his vision for a restored Holy Roman Empire. As the conclave draws to a close, the tension in the room is palpable. Everyone in attendance knows that the fate of the empire hangs in the balance. Finally, the Pope rises to his feet, his voice carrying through the chamber. It is with great pride and humility that I announce the new Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius. The room erupts into cheers and applause as Marcus Aurelius is crowned with a golden crown, signifying his new title. He bows his head in gratitude to the Pope and to those who have supported him on this journey. Due to the Empire of Sanctity's recent ascension to being the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, the Empire of Frosthaven decides to attempt a naval invasion of the Kingdom of Norway to expand their territory. A fleet of warships, led by the most experienced admiral, sails towards the coast of Norway. They land at the capital city of Oslo and are met with fierce resistance from the kingdom's well-trained navy and army. The battle rages on 4 days, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The Frosthaven forces, however, are better equipped and disciplined, and eventually manage to gain the upper hand. The Norwegian king, realizing the futility of further resistance, agrees to negotiate terms of surrender. In the meantime, news of the naval invasion reaches the Empire of Sanctity. Marcus, enraged by this act of aggression, mobilizes his army and navy, preparing for a two-front war. He knows that he must act swiftly if he is to successfully defend his empire and maintain his authority. The Pope issues a second papal bull, excommunicating the Emperor of Frosthaven and declaring a crusade against him personally, hoping to rally the Holy Roman army to greater fervor. Hearing of the recent conquest of the Kingdom of Norway by the Empire of Frosthaven, the Empire of Sanctity, now at the head of the Holy Roman Empire, decides to invade Germany with their newly restored army and possibly use the sacred relic if they still possess it. The attack is announced by Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of the Empire of Sanctity and more recently of the Holy Roman Empire. The army of the Holy Roman Empire, now led by the experienced General Marcus Aurelius, begins to march towards the heart of Germany, hoping to retake the lands lost to the Empire of Frosthaven and restore peace and order to the region. The invasion is met with mixed reactions from the local population. Some welcome the new emperor as a savior, while others fear the return of religious persecution and the oppression they experienced under the previous regime. As the army advances, they come across small bands of Frosthaven forces, scattered and demoralized after their recent defeat. Marcus Aurelius orders his soldiers to treat these soldiers with respect and honor, offering them the chance to surrender or join his forces. Many choose the latter, seeing the promise of a more just and tolerant rule under the new emperor. Meanwhile, word of Marcus Aurelius' invasion spreads quickly throughout the region. Some towns and villages choose to welcome him as a liberator, while others remain wary and cautious. The local church officials, many of whom had suffered under the previous regime, throw their support behind Marcus Aurelius, hoping that his reign will bring a return to religious freedom and the protection of the Catholic Church. As the army continues its march, they encounter a group of refugees from a recently conquered village. The refugees tell of how the Frosthaven forces had systematically destroyed their homes and killed many of their loved ones, all in the name of their pagan gods. Marcus Aurelius is horrified by these accounts and vows to bring the perpetrators to justice. He orders his men to search the countryside for any remaining Frosthaven forces and to offer safe haven to those who have been displaced by the war. News of the Emperor's compassionate leadership spreads quickly, earning him the trust and admiration of the people they encounter. Word of his just rule and devotion to the Catholic Church begins to reach even the farthest corners of the empire, drawing support from those who had once been skeptical of his reign. As they draw closer to the capital city, anticipation and excitement build amongst the populace, many hoping to witness the return of peace and prosperity under the guidance of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Meanwhile, the remnants of the Frosthaven forces, now led by their new general, Eric Bloodaxe, prepare for battle. They have fortified their positions in and around the capital city, hoping to make a stand against the invading army. As the two forces engage in a brutal and protracted conflict, it becomes clear that Marcus Aurelius' experience as a general and his ability to inspire loyalty in his troops gives them the upper hand. The battle rages for weeks, with casualties on both sides mounting daily. Throughout the conflict, Marcus Aurelius maintains a steady presence on the front lines, personally leading his troops into battle and encouraging them to fight for a better future. His strategic brilliance and unwavering determination begin to wear down the defenders, who eventually surrender to the Holy Roman Empire. As the dust settles on the battlefield, Marcus Aurelius is hailed as a hero by his victorious troops and a liberator by the people of the empire. The emperor enters the capital city, now restored to its former glory, and is greeted with thunderous applause and adoration from the populace. He walks among them, listening to their stories of hardship and hope, and vowing to work tirelessly to bring peace and prosperity to the lands under his rule. The church officials, grateful for his protection and support, stand beside him, their voices united in praise for the new emperor. Marcus Aurelius takes his place upon the throne, a symbol of both power and responsibility, and addresses the people of the empire. He speaks of his vision for a future where all faiths may coexist in harmony, where justice is served to all, and where the people may live in freedom and prosperity. His words resonate deeply with the people, many of whom had suffered under the tyranny of the previous regime.